help for the woman who deceived me and the brother who ruined my marriage. She had a plan when she showed up at my office. She ambushed me at work because she knew I wouldn't return their calls. When I made my way down to the lobby to handle the problem, she launched into a prepared speech on forgiveness and family responsibilities after threatening to stay until closing time. When she remarked, "Your father and I have always provided for both our sons," she easily forgot that I had to pay for my own college education. Support your brother during this difficult time. Take charge. I was listening. It was unbelievable. Difficult situation. He attempted to claim the child as his own after having an affair with my wife, who became pregnant. It is not a tough stretch, but a purposeful set of decisions. "Well, if you had paid more attention to Amy's needs," she foolishly responded. I interrupted her and begged her to leave before calling security. I made a loud announcement in the lobby that I was leaving behind my own brother and his pregnant child before she went. Several of my coworkers considered this degrading, despite their support. Later in the evening, Jake wrote me an email. He created a new account to get over my blocks. The communication included barely disguised appeals for financial assistance and half-hearted apologies. I was ignorant of Amy's pregnancy complications, he wrote about. How the stress affected my future nephew or niece and their inability to pay for necessary medical treatment. The attachment, a sonogram image, attracted my interest the most despite the obvious editing techniques. The unborn child, the product of their affair, was used to emotionally attack me. The next day, my father appeared at my apartment complex pretending to be there just to talk, trying a new approach. When the front desk called, I refused to let him in. For 2 hours, he stood in the lobby, telling everyone about how his successful kid was causing trouble for his brother's family. I've had to notify the management of my building about the situation and request that none of my family members enter. Expressing private issues in public can be awkward. No vio otra opción. The harassment has expanded on social media. Furthermore, Amy has been making vague claims on Facebook, saying that her emotionally incapable spouse abandoned her during her pregnancy. I am the one being accused. Jake has been reposting these posts, adding his own comments on how some individuals must step up and accept responsibility. Appealing for freebies while talking responsibility, he appears ignorant of the irony. It frustrates me how they've twisted this story. I did not provide for the people who tricked me, so they paint me as the evil guy. I am successful professionally, so they assume I have a responsibility to save them from their mess. I started tracking emails, work concerns, and social media posts. We may need it if they try anything legal, according to my lawyer. She is concerned that they will try to use the judicial system to get more help. Cuelis la peor. Letters from family, friends, and distant relatives urge me to prioritize family and improve as a person. Jake and Amy have devastated my sole surviving family. They don't seem to comprehend. The constant pestering is wearing me down, despite my commitment not to assist them. I have to cope with all of this. Considering looking for a new job in a different location while seeing a therapist, I am at a loss for what to do to achieve peace, although I dislike the concept of fleeing. Here we are, my family has sunk to a level I never expected. They're trying to intimidate and pressure me into providing money to the same people who ruined my life, not just appealing for help. This is not over yet, I sense. Desperate people are becoming increasingly willing to do desperate things. Desperado. 2. Update. I received a notification from my ex-partner's attorney unexpectedly. Jake and Amy attempted to sue me for further support, citing greater medical demands and altered circumstances. My lawyer was outraged but prepared, documenting all of their harassing instances. The court date was last week. Entering that courtroom was surreal. Amy emphasized her evident pregnancy with her outfit. Jake sat behind her in our father's old suit, with our parents sitting just behind them, looking smug and pompous. Sue. The lawyer arrived first. She shared an almost laughable story. The original payment was insufficient because they underestimated the emotional cost of the divorce. My vengeful behavior was reportedly jeopardizing Amy's pregnancy, which required specialized care due to high-risk factors. They claimed it had stopped Jake from obtaining work. The response from my lawyer was heartbreaking. My mother was shown in surveillance footage from my office building. She began by screening it. Amy's efforts to enter through the back entrance and Jake's angry behavior. She presented social media evidence, including a detailed timeline of their online harassment campaign. The real surprise was their financial records. Jake had turned down several jobs as being beneath him, not because he was having difficulty finding work as a result of my pestering. Amy declined a full-time teaching position to maintain her jobless, pregnant status, much to the court's dismay. A completely healthy pregnancy with typical expenses was the most incriminating evidence. They had been playing with their unborn child. The judge was visibly agitated. Their counsel tried to convey that their mental distress required additional help. The court interrupted him, seeking assistance. "Counselor, your clients seem to have committed perjury. Do you want to keep going this way?" Their lawyer returned with a gloomy demeanor after a brief break. Their united front had collapsed. Jake was pale, and Amy was crying. The judge's ruling pleasantly surprised me. He reduced my alimony payments by 60% and dismissed their request. He stated that this court does not look lightly upon parties who abuse the legal system. SSR. Smith appears to be the victim of a well-thought-out conspiracy to abuse him financially and emotionally. Soon the repercussions occurred. Jake suddenly found a job in retail, so Amy decided she could work too. My parents blamed me for sabotaging Jake's last chance and said they would never forgive me for abandoning my family in their final message. Their attorney quit due to fundamental issues regarding veracity. We excluded them from the premises after strengthening security. My parents had taken out a second mortgage. Jake and Amy were often battling about money, according to mutual acquaintances, paying for legal fees. I can finally breathe. I can restore my savings thanks to fewer expenses, considering a job offer in Seattle. Sometimes the most effective form of retaliation is allowing someone to experience the consequences of their actions. This story is not over. I have a hunch. I'd like to start by thanking the community. Update 3. I've managed to stay strong during this ordeal thanks to your encouragement and comments. Here is my story's final update. A few weeks after the court success, Aunt Linda unexpectedly approached me. I listened to her because she had never interested me before, involved in a family conflict. A huge error. Your father isn't getting any younger, she began, trying to seem alarmed. All the stress is causing his health to deteriorate. Families should stick together no matter what. She discussed how my parents would have to refinance their home to cover Jake and Amy's expenses and how they would lose their retirement savings. When I didn't react with sympathy, she shifted tactics. Your mother sobs herself to sleep every night. Your parents are still your parents, even if they acted badly towards you when you were young. Despite everything that has happened, Jake remains your brother. I cut her off finally. ¿Qué pasó? Hablas con los meses. Attempting to claim the child as his own after making his wife pregnant by having sex with her? ¿Eso fue lo que pasó? Her reply startled me. You could have been more engaged in your marriage. She attempted to blame me for their affair, alleging that my childhood jealousy of Jake created a toxic environment that pushed them together. I actually laughed at how ludicrous it was. Another family member was trying to blame me for Jake and Amy's actions. This time, what's the difference? It didn't move me. I questioned Linda why she doesn't help them if she's so concerned about their financial situation. You own 3 rental houses, and your husband's legal firm is thriving. Why am I the only one expected to stand by them? I had a unique obligation as Jake's brother, she spat, emphasizing that it was different. When I asked her why she hadn't stepped in during all, she said she didn't want to choose sides. Of this. I responded, but now you're picking sides. You decided to demand that I pay for their consequences rather than admit the harm they caused by coming to me. She exposed her hidden weapon. Your father is thinking of retiring early because of stress. Seeing your folks lose everything, because you're too proud to assist what you want, may need the house to be sold. No, Linda. Their decision to condone Jake's actions once more is causing them to lose everything. They are paying the price for their own decisions, like Jake and Amy. What do you know? I'm not in charge of that. Alone when older. Threatening that I will regret this, she emphasized that family is all we have in the end. Replied no. I'm finally choosing to keep my self-respect, which is all we have in the end. I hung up in addition to blocking her number. However, her call provided me with clarity. For the first time, I felt truly free from the obligation and guilt that had plagued me since childhood. Later that day, I accepted the job offer in Seattle. The firm is providing a substantial promotion, and the change of location feels appropriate, selling the condo and starting over. My coworkers threw me a farewell party yesterday. During the time, these individuals showed me what true support is. Months of my life. My closest colleague gave me a card signed by everyone, stating, "Your worth isn't determined by those who couldn't see it. Family is about mutual support, respect, and trust, not blood." My true family proved to be the friends who supported me, the co-workers who shielded me, and ultimately myself. To my parents, Jake, Amy, and now Linda, I'm done. You are responsible for the results because your decisions brought you to this point. I'm no longer available to be your ATM or scapegoat. I'm excited for my new life in Seattle. I'm thrilled about the initiatives at my company's renowned West Coast location. I can't wait to create a life in which I'm respected for who I am rather than compared to someone else's golden child. More significantly, seems oddly appropriate to write my last post from an empty condo surrounded by stacked boxes. Tomorrow I start driving west. I'll be looking back on my past life, with all of its suffering and familial strife. Their baby was born last week. I haven't contacted anyone or seen any pictures. Y dicho adios a esa etapa de mi vida. I want to thank Reddit for supporting me on this trip. Your encouragement and counsel kept me going when I was having self-doubt. One's value transcends their family's treatment. Anyone in a similar situation should know this. Cheers to fresh starts. It's time to go.